Hey, it's Tess live, and I thought today I'm going to talk about journaling. And it's come up a couple of times in the past couple of days, and actually I've been journaling about different things all day today. I do operate like under, I will say hello again. Let me start over. I'm Tess. For those of you that don't know me, I started this journey about 5 years ago. I'm a bariatric patient. I was at a BMI of over 60 at one point in time. I'm a recent author. And I started sharing my journey probably about 3-4 years ago. I've been going live as a way to kind of share my journey and things that have happened to me in my life. And today I've been doing a lot of journaling. And because I've been doing a lot of journaling, I thought that today I would talk about journaling, because in this book, I have 7 principles that I use to change my life, and journaling comes up a lot in it. And I started thinking about it because I was in an event yesterday, and there was a guy sitting next to me, and I know we're not friends on Facebook, so he'll never know. I can't remember his name right now, but he was commenting on my writing because I've always been forced to be in penmanship. As long as I can remember, penmanship was an issue. And I do write a lot, so I think that just kind of helps with the writing. Like I do IMs every day. I have this that I do as kind of an appointment calendar, as well as the online appointment calendar. And like even this is kind of my scratchy fast notes for today's live. But journaling is a tool that I use a lot, and I thought today that's what I would talk about. Hi, Doc V. I know, to see me live. The whole reason I'm live is Doc V, so you guys can blame him or thank him. But I thought today I would talk about journaling because it was so funny. Yesterday at the event, I was writing, and the guy next to me said, I can't believe how neat you write. I kept wanting to stare at it, but I felt like I was in school and that you would think I was cheating off your paper. But when he said that, it kind of reminded me that when I was in college, because I had neat writing, I actually was a note taker. They would give me, and this is going to date me, but everybody didn't carry a computer around when I was in college. So they would actually give me these sheets of paper that I would write on it. Then we would tear it apart. I would keep one copy. The other would go into the resource center, and then they would mimeograph it for everybody who needed it in class. But it was so funny because he was commenting on my writing. And I do get that a lot because I am, like I said, I do write. When I'm in the mood, I do have decent writing. If I'm not in the mood, I can be as scratchy as the rest of them. But it did make me think about journaling today. And again, journaling, and Doc V is in this book. Journaling comes up a lot in the book as a tool to help you as you're trying to overcome issues that come into your life. And when I first started looking at this, the quote that came up was from Anne Frank. And since Anne Frank has been for a while, I thought that I would share this quote just right out of the gate. And it says, Anne Frank, I can shake off everything if I write. My sorrows disappear and my courage is reborn. And I thought, wow, that's kind of a great tool because I myself use it as a way to make myself feel better. Like I am, and like I said, this is my journal, and it's things like I am curious, creative, and courageous. I am strong. I am kind. I am unique. I am important. I am grateful. I am smart. I am deserving. I am appreciative. So I write like pretty much a whole page of these, and that helps me a lot as I go forward. You know, Doc V, they told me once I couldn't be a doctor because of my writing. So you had to lose it to become a doctor. But I thought it was so important. For me, I know, like I looked up online, like, again, it is in my book, but what are the things that they say it does? And Anne Frank kind of summed it up for us really nicely. It does reduce stress because it's kind of an outlet. It improves mood. It improves memory. And for me, it really improves memory because I have lists. Like, okay, I might have one list that tells me things I might need to purchase. Another list for projects I'm working on. You know, like I'm working on rewriting my speech so that it kind of takes this book into it does more out of this book using the IBC process, since I'm now a life agent. And at the time I originally wrote the book, the time I originally wrote my speech, I didn't even have the idea that I was going to become a life agent. So I need to rework that speech. So I have a list of things work-wise I'm doing, a list of things that I might need to purchase for the household, a list of ideas that are out there that I don't need to pursue right now. But I have I have like 3 different notebooks that I write things in. When we were at the event, they gave us a notebook and I used that for questions I had for somebody. So I just kind of try to keep things moving. I use the computer, but I also still use manual papers. And actually I was thinking about that too. I need to get back to like OneNote. There was a period in time I was using OneNote, but I got away from it. So I have to look at maybe what kind of a computer system or something I can use when I'm actually going to these events, so that instead of writing in journals, I'm actually using the computer more. Because, you know, at some point, I always talk about adapting, and that part of me hasn't adapted yet. And even OneNote, I know you can have tabs so that you can keep your separate books like I do, and then it would still be within the computer. But it's like right now, once I get off this live, I have to go get a keyboard because my keyboard went out, and I need to get something for working. But anyways, back to this idea of what does journaling do for you? It reduces stress, improves your mood, improves your memory, increases your self-awareness, strengthens, now this was a good one, strengthens immune cells and reduces anxiety. And I thought about it for a minute and I'm like, is that true? And I'm like, yeah, I do believe that's true, because I know that I'm able to sleep if I write down on a sheet of paper something that's bothering me that I know I need to address the next day, because if I don't write it down, I'll keep running it over in my head and then I'll never sleep. So I do think that journaling can relieve stress. I think it can also be an outlet, and I'll share this, but in my younger days, a relationship broke up, and it broke up in a bad way. And I sat down and I wrote like 10 pages and I just dumped. And they said, okay, now you need to tear that up into little pieces, put it in a bag and lift it to, you know, let it go into the sky. And I will gladly say right now that it was so heavy that the balloons wouldn't lift it. So I had to resort to burning it. But it was so funny, because nowadays I wouldn't want to do a balloon because we know that kills wildlife. But I just vomited on 10 pages of paper what I was feeling. And then you were supposed to release it into the air. And again, I'm glad that didn't happen. I much prefer burning it. But it was hysterical because I couldn't even get the balloon to lift it up off of the ground. But so in a lot of ways, I use it for controlling moods and how I feel and anxiety. So it's a very, very useful tool. And when I was looking through, even online, there was another quote about your journal will stand as a chronicle of your growth, your hopes, your fears, your dreams, your ambitions, your sorrows, and your serendipities. And what I started doing too is I've attended, and now we're done with all of the experience. Chris Noggle had the experience for the past couple of years, and the last one was back in February. But their very first one, they did a sheet, and every one of us told them from the first one to the 6-month mark, what did we accomplish in 6 months? And they actually put a book together, and I found that book recently. I was in a bookshelf downstairs, but I found that, and it showed what I did in that first 6 months. And I thought, hey, you know, I kind of know how many events there were a year. What if I try to chronicle what happened in that other time so that I can see my progress forward? Because sometimes you dismiss it and you don't see it. And when I was putting the book together, the person who did my illustrations and my publisher is actually, she entered the insurance industry with me 30 years ago. She's just been out on her own doing graphic art and stuff like that. So it was kind of funny when she read this book and she got to about the author thing. She said, man, I had no idea how much you did. And she goes, I knew about everything that was on the list. She goes, but until I saw it all in one place, she goes, I really had no idea how much you really did. And I'm like, I really don't feel like I did that much either. And she said, yeah, but when you chronicle it on a sheet of paper, it makes you see the progress. And I thought, I'm going to do that for the past couple of years, because as I kind of hinted to at the end of this book, my next book will take me from where this left off to what my journey's been like, trying to struggle through this idea of not being W-2 anymore, but becoming an entrepreneur. And I'm not going to lie to you and tell you it's been easy, because there's been a lot of rough roads. But it's been rewarding, and there's still struggles, and I have to just keep mushing forward. So I will, that will be the next thing. Actually, she just reached out to me today. She wants me to read through a book that she's putting out, because she has an autistic child, and she's doing books on, she deals with it with holistic, like nutrition. She studied nutrition, and she works as a manager inside of a nutritional and holistic health education system in Canada. So she's actually getting ready to release some books too. But I thought that this idea of journaling was really important, and the idea, because it was so funny, and I think the trigger for me was the guy at the event yesterday saying that he wanted to copy my notes or steal them because of my printing. But it made me think that, ironically, that's a lot. In the end of each one of my principles of the book, I list tools or things that I do to try to overcome the issues that I addressed in the book. And journaling comes up a couple of times because it can be helpful in a few different areas. But I continue to learn, and I continue to do the same things that I once did all the time, because if I don't continue with the practices, things fall apart, and then you have to rebuild it and pull things together. It's like right now medically, and this is my own darn fault, but I had a lot of doctor changes over the past year, and my thyroid medicine, I didn't realize it, but I went for a year without it, and my numbers got really out of whack. So we're right now normalizing those, but boy, I got scolded, and I got scolded bad, because he said, it can affect your organs, but we've got it to where I'm starting to get back into what's in normal range. But it's like anything, you got to stay on it, because if you don't, and I just got busy, and my doctors kept changing me to somebody else, and by the time I'd get there, this one was out. It kind of surprised me, and maybe Dr. V is seeing this in the industry, but it's like everybody's changing. They're either retiring or new people are coming in, and offices are selling, and it seems like every time I got to a point where I was getting started with a doctor, because my one of 20 years kind of faded away, that they would be gone and I'd be moved to somebody else, or trying to find somebody else. And so I went for a year without my thyroid medicine. So we'll have to see how that all goes. But I do have somebody now who has promised me he'll help me get to where I get that regulated again. But I just think that if we continue to look for ways to improve, I am excited. I'm not going to tell you there aren't days that I get disappointed or discouraged or wonder if I'd made the right decisions. But if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? So I just keep moving forward. And the journaling for me, exactly like they say, reducing stress, improving your mood. And if you reduce stress and improve your mood, it's going to help you with the ability to stay healthy. I think that those are great tools. So those are things I'm going to continue to do. I will share a couple other stories yesterday. Sometimes I think the things that you're doing in your life, you just need to share. Doc V has pushed people in our group often to go live, and I've had a lot of positive feedback. When we were at the event this past weekend, I was talking to Stephen Nagy, and I go, "Hey Stephen, I just started doing my lives again after you guys scolded me in Sundance," and I said, "I get 100 to 200 views usually on my lives," and he goes, "You do?" He goes, "That's more than I get." And I'm like, okay, so stay live. But it also made me think about what opportunities, or when can you talk to somebody. I was talking about the IBC process with my driver from the airport home last night, and the guy asked me to sit in the car till he looked up Chris's YouTube. He looked up his YouTube. As I got out of the car, I said, "If you want a link tree to all the live trainings every week, just send me a text and I'll send it to you." And he sent me a text before I ever made it into the door at the house. And then on the plane, on the way home, the woman was talking to me, and I talked to her about my book, and she purchased the book as we were getting off the plane. So I never intended for that to happen, but if you're passionate about the things that are in your life and you share from that honest place, you'll be amazed at what will start to happen. I didn't intend to sell the woman next to me on the plane my book, and I did intend to share with the guy in the Uber, but I intended to share just kind of like as a practice thing. But I never dreamed that he'd be like sending me texts like, "Please give me more information," before he even got out of my driveway last night. So I think if you find something to be passionate about, it'll help you to keep moving forward in life. And if you're struggling, I highly recommend journaling, because it does help me. And I am going to go back and rebuild what's happened in the past 2 years, like from event to event, because even I forget. I've got my life license. I've done all the training in the IBC practitioners, but I need to be mentored in order to be qualified to be listed on their website. There's so many things that I've done that I don't always recognize that I've done them. So I do want to let you guys get, oh, I see Joy on. So Joy's on, Jennifer's on, Doc V's on, and anyone else, I don't see you, but thank you for being here. Joy was hanging with us when we were at the event too. Joy keeps Hannah in line. So we all adore Joy because she's there for Hannah when Hannah needs her, and she does amazing things for all of us. But and Jennifer, she's awesome too. Well, I call her Fern, but she's pretty awesome too. And she's been at probably the last 3 events. So you probably met Doc V, Fern, at Charlotte. But I'll just say it quick one more time. I was talking about journaling tonight, and I do think I'm going to try to get more into an electronic version, but it was kind of cute that the guy wanted to steal my notes yesterday because he likes my printing. But it did remind me that writing notes and journaling has been something in my life that has always kept me calm. And when I find out or remind myself that it reduces stress, improves mood, increases self-awareness, and then that, when you keep those things in line, and it says strengthens your immune cells and reduces anxiety. And for me, I totally agree with that, because if I can write it down, I don't have to remember it, and then I'm not stressing about it. So I do hope you guys have a beautiful night. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting me so I don't get yelled at the next event that I let a year go and I wasn't going live, because they're absolutely right. Who knows? I might be up to 2,000 if I hadn't stopped. But I will keep going because I've gotten some beautiful support from so many of you. So have a beautiful night. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.